Here's how to make a rentry and graphics for rentries, I guess. Yay, celebration! Also, ignore my stuttering, my voice, and yeah. So, I'll be using these as examples. The person who made them is on top of them, and also I can't find the last two, so if you happen to know them or find them, then please tell me. So in order to make these types of complicated rentries, you will have to use metadata, which is easy. You just have to click that metadata plus. Metadata does seem super complicated, however, it is easier than you think. If you ever need help remembering how to use metadata, you either can go to example, which Rentry nicely has for us. It's just an example of how to use all of the things, or you can click the how, which is just teaching you how to use all of them. The share and the page are pretty self-explanatory commands. It's just going to show you what you want it to say when you send a link to your Rentry. So I won't really go over them. Sorry. If you want your Rentry to generally be long and vertical like this Rentry, you will have to put in your metadata something like this. You may adjust it when needed, of course. Now, whenever you put this in and click preview, you may get a message like need container border style, which is just what your border is going to look like. I put all the possible answers you could add to the command after the equal sign. All of them are pretty self-explanatory on how it will look like. If you don't know how it will turn out, you can test by doing all of them and just hitting preview. Now, whenever you put this in, your preview may look a little like this. Of course, the border will look different depending on what you put. In order to change the borders so it won't look so ugly, I will be using some borders I can use online and use Catbox to insert it. I usually use Pinterest to find my borders by looking up Rentry border, and I will find a bunch of them. Those squares are the borders, and you will have to look at them, and then usually if there's a link in order to get them transparent, and you will want them transparent. If they say to credit when you're using them, or just credit whenever you're putting them on a resource sites, you have to follow them because it's theirs. Then I go on catbox.mo and upload the border and copy the link. On a Rentry, you put container border image equal sign following with the link. If you want, you can just put in a color too with a color instead of image on the command. Now, if you hit preview, it'll probably not work, so you want to insert these. And honestly, just put in these answers too. It'll make your life a lot easier. Obviously, if you want to adjust it, you can. Now, how do I get the background to look like this? That's when we jump into container inner background. Container inner background is just a series of commands that sets up what the Rentry will look like underneath the main text. For the first command I listed on the screen, it's just what the image will be. The repeat is very complicated, so I just put no repeat. The position will be top if you want your Rentry to look vertical. Now you just put the text in. For the Rentries that look like this, it's a lot more difficult. You would have to use text instead of metadata because there's multiple images being used and adjust their size. It may look something like this. You basically insert an image from Catbox or any other site that you use and put it in using this type of layout. Now, how do you make those graphics/images that make the Rentry look so interesting? How to do graphics and stuff! Now, I'll be using a speed design of a graphic, and every once in a while I'll pause to point out significant things I did. You may use this graphic as heavy inspo or even just use it as a whole. I will also be using Paint X with my editor app, although other apps such as Procreate is perfectly fine. I just don't have them to demonstrate. I usually find a graphic on Pinterest I really like and make sure inspo is fine before I use it as inspiration. For this video, I'll be using this design as inspo. Then, once I know what I want my design to look like based on the theme I'm going for and my inspo, I find PNGs on Pinterest that I can use. I then open Paint X, other programs like Procreate or Frame 2, select the size I want my Rentry to be, and start placing the PNGs in dividers and such. Notice here how I make a layer and make it all purple, and clipping it to my original image to make the PNG fit my color scheme better. Here, I'm utilizing the perspective tool to make the divider look more interesting. Here, I made the image look like it was popping out of the portrait by erasing the bottom half and letting her top half go over the portrait. Ta-da! It's definitely not my best work, but it'll do for the tutorial. This graphic was designed to go under the text. I will put this as a container inner background image. If you'd like me to make a template with this trash graphic, let me know.
6, 7. Yes, she's just a baby.